We'll do that. Whew, I don't even have my head thing. Hi, folks. Nick Tuckert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. And I am just out of the flow. My head thing went on walkabout. Give me just a second. Alrighty, right. Wow, that was enough to get me to lose one viewer. Well, that's, typical and just what I'm used to. All right, folks, we got Happy Friday, Syndicate. Yeah, we are back, ballin', wallin', and shot calling. The Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you by my books, which are upside down because I missed a week. Okay, cool. The Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you by The Simple Sword and the Fighting Axe. This is a book so good, Brian K. Morris cannot remember the title on his live streams. But Brian, I love you. He's one of my Patreon members, and that says enough. These books are part of my ongoing series to help you, the viewer, learn how to sword fight in the easiest, safest, and simplest manner. We are proud members of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network, which sent me a wonderful graphic, and my printer died, so you'll just have to wait another week for that beautiful footage. We're also brought to you by my amazing Patreon members, without whom I couldn't do what I do. You guys literally keep my paddles in the water, and you let me afford to do the things I need to do to make this happen. In fact, I was hoping it would be here, so next week I should be unveiling something they know about, and you don't, that will be part of an ongoing project that I'm really excited about. And the live-action guildies, the folks who occasionally make it out to my secret abode to engage in sparring, farting, and fun. Wow, I am just all over the place. They'll get to see it in person. But we've got some comments rolling in. We're joined first off by Cindy Kep. Cindy Kep, the lovely author, artist, crochet goddess, and just general one of the great cheerleaders on the internet. Richard Asplin and Sharon Percy. Hi, guys, and please, I apologize for any mispronunciations I make. It is not out of ignorance. It is out of me fighting a ridiculous speech impediment and complete lack of sleep, as I've been slaving away at nearly Steve Clausen grade levels to get some projects out for the game design side of my business, which is also what helps keep the lights on. I'm bringing up our good friends at PHA because we got to talk. Oh, why is that a thing? That shouldn't be a thing. Okay, we'll see if that affects the net. Now, first off, how are you guys doing? It's been 1 week since I looked at you. Set up, let's fight and have a good time. 2 days since I woke up from the wedding insanity that I went to. Okay, I'm going to stop before I get anywhere near a violation, but really, no one could mistake my singing and filk as anything inappropriate. Why? So my backup, there we go. Bonk. My backup system is crashing, so I need just a moment to get back on the wonders. Guys, we got a lot to talk this week. First off, I hope you guys are enjoying my impromptu product reviews. I told you guys I'd start throwing them out there, and they are being thrown out. So I'm cranking them out pretty much when I get too tired to see clearly for my current contract, because I want that to be awesome. I mentally recover, so I'm not doing math in my sleep, by presenting reviews of some of the best trainers, or worse, there's some stinkers in the works coming down the pipe, because I'd love to spend money so you don't have to. Awesome. Well, Steve Clausen says there's another trainer coming my way. He'll probably get a special showing here, because a lot of the trainers I'm going through are the older ones that have been wobbling around. No, you know what? Sleep mathing is easier than wake mathing sometimes, Cindy. But then I'm more tired, and I really don't need to be more tired. Yeah, this is my like third bottle of Go Juice of the day. I'm having a day. And, as you can tell, I'm stumbling a bit. We had to get our stride, but we will get the stride. Steve, sleep is the 4 hours I get and 2 hours you get where old nightmares run amok. And then you stagger into wakefulness powered by spite and caffeine. I don't know how long, like I said, this is going to go. We're in that heat wave ahead of those storms is slamming us, and my non-air conditioned study, to keep. Yeah, sleep is it's an odd addiction. It's like oxygen. Now, as an old fencer, I've spent many years without oxygen and with limited blood flow because of ill-fitting gorgets. But the sleep thing sneaks up on you, and as a member of the Scuba Sleeper Squad, it's worse. I need my little machine to go. Even though every time I strap in, I feel like I should be locking on with a TIE fighter to engage that rebel scum. However, anyone who knows me knows I'm all about rebel scum. Most of my friends are rebel scum, come to think about it. Anyway, as you can see, I'm rocking new braces. I may do a review on braces for fighting. These are much nicer for typing because they're freer on the hands. But brother, sisters, and friends, and Johnny Cage, who's recovered from that serious spiking he endured thanks to Cyborg on Red Valkyrie Presents. And those who don't know, I run the fantasy RP game on Red Valkyrie Presents every Wednesday night from 8:30 to 12:30 in theory. And I have this nasty habit of pulling the commenters in and letting them die for our own amusement. Okay, let me get to the comments before we get rolling. Thesis, since you're only going to be by here a little bit, I am so happy you are. Thank you for coming by. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, Richie, Richard Asplin, I call him Richie. If you ever hear me say Richie, he says that the time you run the battery to zero and they have to plug you back in, Steve. Yeah, basically. Yeah, I'm waiting to see the full list of music. There's some Blade Thesis mentioned that he had dreamed that he had a full list of like our music as WWE style entry music, and I would seriously love to see who went with what. It will tell me a lot of what you know of the guildies. It'll tell me a lot of how they present themselves on camera, and I really, really dig it. Boop. Deal of the day. The Vassert Los Lert and our keychain is back on wooden swords, and they still have a lot of Night Shop standard stuff. Music, yes, Sharon. Yeah. There's never catching up. Oh, I'll have to look at that later. I may have missed it. I've been working pretty hard today. And that's the thing when you run 2 YouTube channels, you're on 5 or 6. And I realized on a given week I may do 20 plus hours of broadcasting. I miss things sometimes, guys. And coming back from I have one bump in my thing, and the wedding went off well. Everybody got married, nobody died, and there were very little drunken ants on the floor. But there was some commentary, like Sharon, that Bladed Thesis basically said he had dreamt of entry music for guild members. And in this whole spiel, I'm like, let's hear it. I'd love to know what people think. I love seeing what version of me people accept as the norm. Because hint, ton of bricks. There are a lot of versions of me out there. And the people who know me don't all know the same version or variant of Nick Tucker, sort of master artist, author, retired paranormal instigator, researcher. an all around, alleged cryptid. I am not actually a cryptid, and no one can prove it, despite all the evidence, photographic evidence otherwise. But yes. Basically, I am really, really excited this week. I'm excited about a lot of things, and I've got so many irons in the fire. I'm busier than a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest. But so what all, Nick? You have irons in the fire. So the week I'm going to do reviews, and I threw up on the Patreon channel a poll what people want. You have the shirt of Cryptid Nick. They made a shirt of Cryptid Nick. Thesis Bohemian Rhapsody is a very acceptable choice of music, both in style, history, era, and content. So I certainly won't be upset by that. Well, when you own a shirt company. Yeah, that reminds me, Steve, when you are not dysfunctionally dying, you and I have a lot to talk about. I'm expecting somewhere around September to be heinously busy for me, so I'm trying to wrap up as many of my pre-existing projects and contracts as I can. Got a lot on the table, folks. Now, I know I've been off topic, so let's get on topic. Okay. That would be awesome. So, right now, Sharon, I think you're in the Historical Fencing Guild public group. If not, and you want to talk this sort of thing, that is a great place to find me. The other great place to find me is actually on Twitter at ntalkert. That's me. Because let me just put that in there. I'm trying to kind of cross my streams somewhere where everyone because a lot of people know me from one aspect of my life, but they don't know me like the people in cons may know me from game design. The people in the fencing fields either know me from my old SCA days or when I was kind of on tour as an ambassador of the guild, basically going around going, "Hey, let's see how you're fighting. Cool. Can I spar with you? I'd like to see if there's something I can learn from you. Maybe I have something I can share with you." And I was trying to build up that notoriety. Hail all to Frog G. Frog G, folks, is the latest Patreon member. Frog G is in a echelon I reserve for people like Cindy Cap. I never see Frog G say something disparaging. He's always helping and boosting people. Dude's a hero, and we need heroes like that in this world of depression stuff. So, back on the plate. Cool. What's in the works? Obviously, I have some equipment matters that need to be addressed, and I am addressing them this week. I had planned to be talking about what I had come in, but, with shipments not being what they should be, a lot of it's not here. I got some questions. I got some commentary, and I have some. Johnny Cage is another one of my dear friends, associates. Yet I'll call you dear friend. I embrace people rapidly. I'm that guy. But we got to talk because this is the time, folks. If you aren't out there getting ready for practices, I'll be making an announcement to the private guild group fairly soon about when I am opening up for practices. I just have to have a slight better time frame on when I have the property ready because I'm trying to do some major cleaning, minor upgrades. Pandemic was nearly a year longer for me because of health issues. So the whole lockdown thing was a real thing. Now, I did get some off-site questions. Pop. And a lot of them come through Twitter. They come, my DMs there. A lot of just come through Facebook. So I love the hello flying feline. I'll take a sip here for you too. And guys, please hit the like button. Please hit the share button. I know I'm a little scattered this week, but this is us getting back on the ball. One thing I get is, what is my favorite trainer? And I don't think that's a fair question, because I have a lot that I switch through depending on what I'm working on and what I do. So what do I think people should start with? If you're going to be fair, to yourself, what I recommend anyone looking to get into this sport, believe it or not, I usually have notes laid out, Richie. This is a much more controlled chaos than anybody realizes, because I am a duck, y'all. You think I'm just floating on the surface, chill, not doing anything, and my little web feet are just going chug, 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 which is good, because people need that. People need to be willing to put the energy in and put the work in before they expect anything out of it. You know, one of the things that my family holds to is, I'd rather give it to you than screw you out of it. And they'll try to keep that going. But, getting back, the Rawlings synthetic swords are where I would say, if you're not sure what you want to fight, that is a great start, because it's a modular system. Most of mine are still in the garage, and stairs are my main. This is actually my wife's, and this is in a basket hilt configuration, right? This is the short sword blade. What's neat is it has a steel core for the forte, and it is flexible. This is an extruded nylon blade. That means, while it's not quite as rugged as several others, it is incredibly durable. Long-standing viewers and those who dig back will see the abomination in which I got one of these blades, and I modified the living heck out of it to make a very strange little rapier in my quest for a Bilbo. But there are modular screw-off pommels of different sizes and weights. There are cross guards and basket hilts. No. That's no longer. Yeah. Anyway, one of the abominations. But if you're looking and you're not sure, getting one of these is great, because you can order a lot of the rigs. And on Purple Heart right now, because it's an older system, you can actually pick up cross rigs and pommels very cheap. One thing they have is the set stopper and the longsword guard. I recommend getting the longsword guard, because it gives you a little bit better quillions than just the normal short sword guard. They have 3 types of blade: long sword, short sword, and then a flat messer blade. They're all very interesting. The balance is fairly good. It is a little pricey, but it's in a system, so you trade it off. I'm still hunting, guys. That is as close. I am hunting for the perfect primary. Oh, where is it? Nick, you said you were going to clean up the work area. Yeah, well, my contract got me busy. This is the closest I've come for my version of a perfect side trainer. It doesn't have flex, but this is the Purple Heart Italian side sword trainer that I helped co-design, but with Christian Jorse. I'm still talking with him on some other designs. This is a they have 2 set stoppers, regular thread. They have the ball and then the disc pommel. So you're right. This stuff can be ordered with quillions. I have both. This is one of my favorite because it's sub 50 and it has decent hand protection. I wish it had a bell. I wish it had an actual cup hilt style cup. Then I'd probably be in 7th heaven. And for my taste, I wish the grip was a bit narrower. But this has adequate room for something like lacrosse gloves. It works very well. Now, I will tell you right now that the braces I'm wearing are my brand new, came today, and these are my round the house work braces. I can type in these and move. They're very, very, very structured, but they're so structured I lost some of the little side mobility. These are closer to what I should be wearing, but the spoon is a little more argumentative in the hand. So it does interfere with my grips just a bit. So I'm still teaching myself basically how to adjust my grips. We're going to see sometime in the Sword King. Please, thesis. Please. Yeah. Oh, yes. And there are metal guards. I'm hesitant on the metal cross guards, but you know what? The whites, which are what I call the black fencer. I have a sorta that's that way. That's that heavier white. The Penty line by Purple Heart has that. Are doing well. So I may have to rethink my opinion on the steel cross guards. I do love the steel pommels. They really pull the weight back. But even though that right now it's broken because the pommel I made came off and I have to remake the pommel, this is one of my favorite swords because it's very light, it's very fast, and I can positively grip it, even with my braces. Now, this is a custom job. Obviously, I butchered a Tai Chi style Jin sword of the old variety where the guard was separate and made this wonderful thing. Ironically, as a result to it being broke by Mr. Lundy. There's some room. Now, again, if you're looking for the best, this is the Cold Steel Parry Dagger. To this day, this is my favorite parry dagger. I own two. My other one is still somewhere over there. I have to find it because it has my custom bell guard. But if I were to say for an offhand, everyone should buy these. These are just the best on the market. I absolutely adore these as a trainer. I absolutely adore these as a training implement because they have a this catch not only provides a better lateral catches like this, but it actually trains you to keep your blade online for your George Silver-ish offhand windshield wiper parries. I adore this little weapon. And if they would just, oh god, if Cold Steel would just widen the base a little bit so that they could double the length, just double the length. Give me that 34, 36-inch blade with one of these, maybe a larger pommel to offset the weight a bit. I'd be in seventh heaven and I'd probably buy 10 of them. But they won't, even though I bug them about it. Now, so there's that. I am actively reviewing the assorted lightsabers because I've got one person who keeps hounding me. Well, Nick, let's learn lightsabers. So I am actually looking into it. That came with the added question, Nick, what style? And since it's been a while, so we've got new people. In Star Wars parlance, I'm very much a Form 2 Makashi guy. Yes, that's me and Dooku. Now, I do a modified because I like dual wielding, so it tends to get a bit more Ventress-ish, but really Dooku's elegance really applies. And there isn't anyone who fights sword and dagger that I have seen in the more broadly known Star Wars canon. It's just one of those I'm more looking for. Now, that being said, would I do something like get a Rawlings blade? Because Richie's talked about not being able to find the sword. And just order the blade and pommel, completely make my own riggings. I had thought about that. And everything depends on my hands. Those of you who saw last week, I did get to drop off the presents that I made for Steph and John. Right now, they're at Disney, so I know we won't be hearing from them likely. But folks, that's okay because that is the sweetest axe I have ever made. And I really, really, I'm kicking myself because I forgot to make a trace backup copy. So I'll have to ask Steph the next time I see her to make sure she brings it so that I can brace and do some tweaks to make it more what I want. But oh my gosh, The axe is the Goblin Queen, as I refer to that particular model. And I will never again make one exactly like that, unless she requests a second. At which point, if she commissions a second, for her, I would make a match. But other than that, oh yeah, I need to. Yes, yes, Richie, I need to back that axe up. But it's gorgeous, and it's really the polish isn't as refined as it could have been, but the form, balance, and feel is just so good. Hopefully, knocking on wood, next week I will be showing some armor acquisitions I've made thanks to my beloved patrons. That guys, real talk. We're going to talk real talk. We're going to jump right into it to an extent. And let me see. Oh, I just want to make sure that there's nothing really new on the stuff. That $1 water bottle, I may just throw $1.50 at that with my next order. I want to make some Purple Heart Armory orders, but I'm really looking to balance out my personal set. I need to redo my gloves. I need to, so that they work around the braces effectively. I need to redo my chest armor, my body armor. Everything has to be scrapped from the skin out, pretty much, to meet my new needs. So that's what I'm working on. And for those of us of larger size, we'll say 3X is really the line between 2 and 3X in American shirts for men. Finding armor off the rack that fits and does what you want is nearly impossible. I've been looking. I was really excited about that hoodie because it looked like the right size, but I'm not going to throw nearly $200 at a light grade hoodie that I'm already going to have to mod. So something else is inbound, and it's of an aesthetic that I've been looking for, where as long as it bodily fits properly, I don't mind upgrading it. And when that hits, we'll talk about it. And if it turns out to be a disaster, I will either modify it or I will make arrangements with someone else who needs something like that. But we're going to keep that up. And yes, I love making custom trainers. It is one of the great joys in my life. However, I now have to use a lot more power tools than I used to, and I have to give myself more time because I was messed up after I made those. And the sword I made for John, which is basically a mix between a butterfly knife of the Wing Chun double style, but it's a singular, and sort of a trench knife. I wanted a very specific feel. That's one of those that it may not be aesthetic. The 3A hoodies are fantastic. Where are you finding 3A hoodies, Steve? If you can send me a link, please let me know. Because that's what, I use historical, and I condone historical training, but let's use modern gear, guys. That's why I love HGP. I've been told, well, if you want to fight like... No. I'm going to tell you something. The people in the Middle Ages, the people in the Renaissance, the people now on the ground are inherently pragmatic. Yeah, they will do stuff because they think it is cool, but folks, it's got to work first. And if it doesn't work, it gets thrown on the wayside real fast. So that's what I'm looking for. A balance of cost and ease. And it's actually made me pause the book I'm writing for you guys, because the rules are just getting rearranged. Nobody expected, for example, wood to triple in price pretty much overnight like it did. So I have to reevaluate a lot of the substances I consider go-tos for training equipment, resources, and things. With new tech, like some of the new solar lights are better than spotlights that I would have used in the past. We're just going to have to keep drilling towards that improvement. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to build ourselves up by doing that. But next thing on the old agenda, let's see. I do have a few trainers that I'm going to be doing some special attention to talk about in the near future. I believe my homemade trainers are going to get brought back up because they're fun. Well, hey, Steve, that I understand. Anytime we have your attention, I know how busy you are right now. I appreciate it. We have some questions. Let's see, what do I recommend for starters? Okay. And I know questions are good when I start getting the same questions every few weeks. It means new people are coming to me, and that means I can help them. Obviously, if you're looking for a system to start with, I am going to plug my book. And if I didn't, I'd be both ingenuous and like fake. No, I wrote this for starters. It is very inexpensive on Amazon. Read this, pick up this, you will be happy. And I don't lie to my students, and I don't lie to the people on my channel. I just don't believe it. Now, if you're looking for historical manuals, a lot of it depends on your health. Capofera is very, very popular, and there's nothing wrong with that. I am and will always be a Gigante fan, but I'm a short guy, and Gigante works very well with the people who are short. It also, he understood that the rapier and swords in general are sidearms. You really need to keep that when you start getting militaristic, when you're really getting wound up, and people get these debates about, especially in the Japanese, the katana is the best. No, the katana, you have to think of the katana like the Glock of the period. I know. I just cited one of the least visibly appealing firearms ever made. High quality, sure. Everybody knows it. Reliable, it's a Glock. Everybody knows that. But the katana was a personal defense weapon first. It is the pistol to the rifle. Now, you want to talk the rifle of the samurai. What they were most known for was horseback archery and pole arms, your naganatas on foot. And I agree. I hate, totally off topic, but I despise the grip angle on a Glock. I've always done it. I always will. It's part of the reason why I tend to like wheel guns, at least at the range. Probably have to head off at baseball game. Very much don't want to take a ball. Hey, enjoy your game. Enjoy being out, Blade Thesis. Catch the rest of this video later. Okay, here's the thing. Blade Thesis, under a different handle, is one of my Patreon members. He knows that every time I try to pronounce his name, I have problems. So I go by Bladed Thesis here. It's not on him. It's nothing wrong with his name. It's part of my physical throat and mouth defect. I accept that. But any of my Patreon members, they want a video. All they have to say is, Nick, make a video. And actually, pun not intended, but I will accept it because the best ones are accidental. If you have a comment, if you have a question, if you want something, get right into it. And it's interesting, going back, why, so ask. I will, for my Patreon members, you guys are keeping the lights on. If you want a video on something, I'm going to put it out in the public. Whenever I do a pre-recorded video or I get something, I let them see it a week ahead. Of course, with the my scheduling and some functionality issues, right now, the pre-recordeds just aren't happening very much. I throw the stuff out there. I did one obviously last week, a pre-recorded video to fill this time slot, but I couldn't share it on Patreon because it involves Stef's surprise wedding gift, and I didn't want her seeing it before she saw it, So hopefully they've had a chance to enjoy those. And if not, hey, I count that as one of my happiest works. I really enjoy that thing. So I'll gladly accept something like that back. Now, back to see it. Be safe out there. Enjoy your adventures, both of you guys, and we will see you soon. Now, longtime fans know last year, was it last year, year before? Basically, I wore my beloved obesity armor a lot, and my obesity armor is that mid-grade light armor where I took basically a heavy grade hoodie and I just added this round chunk of padding in a thermal lined hoodie to give some chest protection. I'm working on something. Well, I'm going to acquire something tailor made, not necessarily for me, but it's pre-sewn, and then I'm going to upgrade it to what I need. I wanted to be able to say, I'm buying this jacket. This is the jacket. You should buy this jacket too. I would love that, but frankly, since most of my students and colleagues are not of standard builds, we're just gonna have to accept that that's not gonna be a thing, and that's okay. Custom armoring is an absolute necessity at the end of the day, especially for those of us of less than perfect physique, those of us with alternate physiques. Women's hips move differently. I will say this to the person who messaged me about what should I read. Toby Beck's The Armored Rose. I can't find my copy. I need to order another one. When I know about the cost of some things, I'll probably just rebuy it. And if I find it and have two, oh no. The reason I haven't written a guide to female armoring and female training expressly is that I accept that that is out there and I just consider it that good. So keep that in mind. I may do something else, but we'll see. What's neat is I'm seeing the start of more sortie spin-offs and things. I don't believe some of them are they're sequels that don't need to be made. I'll be the guy to say it. No one needs a Princess Bride sequel, but you know what, Cindy Cap, I'm glad you thought it was. I found the flip book aspect really, as somebody who studies body mechanics, fascinating. It isn't a perfect book, none are, but it is a wonderful book, and I do recommend it. I've never hesitated to. If you want something more Nick E's plain language translated, and that's something you guys are really interested in, I will put it on my queue. I'm just, unfortunately, because part of my work is contract oriented, I have to do my contract work before I can do my own. So it's creeping through. Things are going to get exciting for me in fall. So when things get exciting, the back work I'm doing now will have been done, and I'll have this period where I can knock out some of my stuff before we get back into the cycle and cons. But yes, it is very geared toward SCA heavy, but I think it's funny because I think it's a book on female fighting that men need to read, because a lot of men, especially and I wish John Miner were here. John, if you're just watching and you haven't commented, please comment. But anybody who's training women and maybe doesn't know the importance of this can say that book can really help with injury prevention and armor modification. A lot of the conditions my wife is dealing with right now, real world physical therapy, unpleasant stuff, has direct ties to improperly fitted armor and improperly treated injuries. Now, a lot of that had to do with her using the I'm okay mentality, and that's on her. But a lot of it was just mechanical because people didn't understand. So there's no malice there, but at the same time, there is a situation I want to prevent from repeating for everyone else. it's so crucial that you find an approach to the system that fits you and the club you're going into. The SCA is very different than ARMA, I have found. The SCA is very, ARMA, yes, very different from HEMA, uh, and different from LARPs in an odd way. It's interesting seeing the points. I also find the as more Eastern dojo type, I'm going. It's a this is a slightly derogatory term, and I don't mean it quite as such. But the McDojos, there are a lot of strip mall dojos. Some are actually very good, independent martial arts studios. Some are literally McDojos, which are just, handing out belts as a, well, you've paid this much, you get a belt in this amount of time thing instead of merits. It's part of why, if you notice, I talk somebody in the guild who's actively fighting is either me, and this is my show. I don't pull rank on a lot of things. I usually only do it on safety. Yeah. Or I don't want to say syllabus, but close. There's an order in which people need to learn things. But other than that, as long as people show competence, they're either a student, you got newbie, so you've never picked up a sword. I always work with them. That's the part I enjoy the most. And two, I'm better as a sort of Ollivanders of swords and styles of going, okay, you fight like this, you move like this. If I don't know where you might do best, let me do some research, and we can find a system that will work for you. And if it's not one of mine personally, I can find someone who can direct it to. And I am sorry, my nose is itching. The smoke from the wildfires is hitting all the way here in the cornfields of Indiana, and I am feeling it today. But how I turned off all my notifications. How am I getting binks through that? Doot, 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 doot. What? Okay, I'm gonna have to deal with that later. And yeah, CityCap is talking right now. And again, any of the newer viewers, please turn on live chat, not top chat. And I actually have to fix it now because it always goes to top chat. I want live chat. See, I missed Michaela. I am so sorry. You were actually covered up by the top chat thing. So let me see if there's anybody else that top chat has covered up. I'm not seeing it. Okay. Always turn your chats on, and always because Nick versus Tac Mojo, absolutely. The people who work with my system usually come with some kind of limitation. Physical limitations, mental trauma, something like that. That is not a shot. That is actually brought a badge of honor and pride for me, because I really want to be setting up to help people get better and do especially things they think they can't do. That's why I make games the way I do. It's why I teach and I write in the style I do. It's why I do every week these kind of live shows and other things. I want it to be boop. Excuse me, I don't know why that's saying that, but whoop. Yes, excellent. And that was me getting paid, I think. Okay. I don't know why that didn't share, but okay. That was work related, so I had to cut it for just a second. I would love to tell you, but I've been requested to keep it under my hat. So it's like 3 levels of confidentiality. Me talking about it and plugging it, me keeping it under my hat an NDA. But guys, sword fighting should be fun. If it hurts, don't do it, or don't do it that way. Now, as physical therapy becomes an option for some of you, I'm a big fan of Tai Chi. I do enjoy Tai Chi. I use a modified form of Tai Chi that I took the slow, repetitive, focused approach. And that's how I built my personal skill set. You pick once, pick the basic thrusts, do them, or learn to block. Well, yeah, learn to block, but that's part of it. But you slow, and if you move slowly and you seek refinement, you will get speed and skill later, and you'll get far faster than if you're drilling fast for anything but speed drills. There are speed drills, and part of it is taking a Pell or a heavy bag and throwing as many shots in as many combos as possible and do it. Well, yeah, that's part of it. That's where the physical therapy, knowing your body, is how you know whether it hurts or whether, is it good pain where I'm a little stiff, but it's going to loosen up. I understand that. I know my body. Is it bad pain? Bad pain means stop. One of the big things, a burn or a tearing sensation. You should always stop. Sore versus pain. And if you have any doubt, talk to a physical therapist. Seek professional medical help. It's like, if you don't like a contract, pay the money, talk to a lawyer. If you don't know about this, there are people who specialize in things like sports medicine. I am not a medical authority. I just know what has worked for me, and I can guide you in ways where you can get started. And I don't want any confusion on that front. But it doesn't need to be overly complicated. It doesn't need to be expensive. But if you want to get good, it's going to take time. And it's going to take dedication. And you're going to have to try things. You're going to have to experiment with what feels right. And when you find what feels right, you just do it. Now, the irony in this is not lost on me. But this right here, a gift, I believe from Steve. It was either Steve or John Miner. My brain just shut down. But with a tongue-in-cheek to it, is one of my favorite trainers. Even though it does break the core, I don't like round guards. And if I were designing this, there would definitely be a flattening of the guards. That's what I thought. I thought it was John, but like I said, I just went to look and got the I like this trainer. I love the length, the speed, and the balance. The point of balance is right at the belly of the blade, meaning it wants to hit and it wants to cut right where it's designed to. This makes it a very elegant chopper. The short distance, and even though it's balanced, the overall light makes it a decent stabber. I'll probably be ordering a second one of these. And when I have the second one, I'll probably be just hand filing, dremeling, basically bubbaing this thing a little bit to flatten that rounded hilt, because the round hilts are always my enemy. Oh, God. I'm sweating like a lady of ill repute in church. But what needs to happen is you need to make sure your gear fits you, it fits how you're moving. And some days I can fight certain styles, some days I can't. Know that. One really important thing, especially if you are either building up or you're recovering, people who haven't done it assume it's a slow, gradual arc. Well, I'm going to work and I'm going to build my stamina up, and it's going to get better and better and better. And if I'm doing it right, it'll just sort of ramp up to a plateau and go. I'm here to tell you right now, as somebody who's started from the bottom and got here a ridiculous number of times right now. I think I had to go from bedridden by severe injury to Rioth SCA style 3 times. That, and I've been doing it more. I'm to that point right now where I had to keep the perspective that only a few months ago I could barely walk around the house with 2 canes. You got to keep the perspective, and your victory conditions have to be realistic. But as I build back up, there are days where it's just not there. The weather's wrong. I may have made a mistake the day before. There was an emergency. Because I take care of my son, there are days that are more physically strenuous. The day after is always rough. But there's also an opportunity there, if you're respectful and patient with your body, to, on a bad day, when things are hurting, if it's not going to damage you, an incredibly slow set, just to feel, how does your body move when it's sluggish? What can you do when everything hurts and still make go? Maybe a couple of the blocks just go away. For a lot of people, the rain, on a good day, I could do a high block. On a bad day, maybe the shoulder locks up. I have some people with shoulder problems. I have some, So what you do is you change your style to work around your worst day. And then you practice it. You practice that on your good days. You practice it on your bad days. You slowly build a repertoire of moves and adjustments. And you say, well, Nick, why? Why should I spar on a day where I don't feel 100%? And I'm going to say, if it feels like it's going to hurt or damage you, that's a great question. I got a question, and why does my tape measure always disappear? That's okay. This is about 36 inches, which means this is about 30 inches. Give, take, it might be 28. I was asked on axe length. Yeah, I'd say a 30-inch would be very nice as a two-handed for me. If I remember right, that's about what's considered a boy's axe length. Damn shuggles. Yeah, they are. They always do. You see, I'm having a minor wardrobe problem, not with what I'm wearing right now. Good Lord, people. But I have to get some elastic string for something rather notable, and I suspect the Shoggoths are trying to sabotage my power levels. The fools! But, and you know what? And that's the thing, Cindy, I totally get and respect that. There are days where my hands won't, for example, there are days where my hands won't grip. This is a common problem, and it was I'd be sitting in a chair, and I couldn't, properly grip. But I had my elbows would work and my shoulders would work. So I'd sit here and slowly, and sometimes it's painful in the dullness, controlled to see what I can do. If it hurts wrong, you stop. You can always stop. A drilling session might be with your lightest trainer and only 1 or 2 shots. Part of it is finding out how your body works when you're injured, and part of it is maintaining the pattern. If you drill every day or every other day. Set your pattern and stick to it, especially on the days you don't want to. The reason why I encourage this is there's a sad realism. And the sad realism is that bad things happen at the worst times. And a lot of what we train in has real life self-defense applications. And if you're having physical problems, exactly. If you're having physical problems, You need to be able to feel that, in part so that you don't try to do something you can't do in the spur of the moment. Does that make sense? Like, on a good day, I might be able to do a 15-foot sprint. That's about 5 steps with my cane in hand on a good day. And yet, cane, I always bring my cane because I don't know when a good day is going to be a bad day. But I might be able to do a 15, 20-foot sprint. But if I can't, I need to know. Because I need to realize that set of options aren't there. So I plan around it. Hi, Silver Ogre. Wherein, if maybe I'm feeling a little stronger, I might be able to push myself a very small amount and then plan for the next day to be a bad day. And they say, well, what do you do if you can't? Believe it or not, I have an answer to that. You guys don't know it because I played it off. But when things got really bad, and I mean really bad, good yo-yo. When I couldn't move real well, and there were days where I would be basically, I'd have to make it from the bathroom back to the couch, and that might be my entire day's journey. A run or two into the kitchen, run or two into the couch, literally 150 steps in a 24-hour period, swollen in bad shape. What would I do? Sanders not around, close my eyes, and I'd visualize training. And it sounds farcical, okay? I know it sounds like some mumbo jumbo. It sounds like Nick's, but without getting too far into the mojo, and there are aspects of what I lovingly refer to as mojo that I wholeheartedly believe. It's just part of being a sword master. You study sword mastery, you study philosophy, you study mathematics, especially around the field of statistics, and you start to realize some very weird things. But the mind processes mental practice just like it processes physical practice. It's a great way to refine the actions. It shouldn't work as well as it does, and it's no substitute alone, but it does enhance and it clarifies. And when you're building up, guys, it's just like when I talk about understanding melee combat, radiating circles outward. You have to start with your mind. I'd go so far as to say start with your spirit, but that's a bit more philosophical, spiritual, borderline religious that I probably should get into on this channel at this time. If that's a conversation you want to have, fire away, give me permission and we can walk through that. But beyond that, it's the mental state. And a lot of the mental, Silver Ogre's right. Actually, they did a study about visualization. The group who visualized exercise, and exercise gained more muscle mass than the exercise only. We reshape our surroundings in levels I don't think most people understand. And yes, I'm telling you, it's doable because, Sherlock has a mental mansion where he remembers things. I do not have a mental mansion. I do have a mental place, and I've built it over years. It is for a different set of purposes than memory. It's complicated, but I do have a place I can go, and part of that place I can map out is a list field. And anybody who's seen me run a D&D campaign or a basic fantasy or hybrids Whenever I start talking, you watch my eyes close, and I'll be like, head goes up, eyes close. I'm not here anymore. This just becomes a speaker from wherever I am. And I'm visualizing and I'm talking about it. And the more you understand, the better you can visualize, the better that you get out of that. And the better you understand how your body works, the better you can visualize. So I am big on building positive gestalts. Most of my problems in life have come from a spiraling downward effect. Entropy has gotten hold of some aspect and pulled it down. Weight gain, health, depression. A lot of this is built on negative spiral effects where it just feeds onto itself. But it is possible to make positive spiral effects that pull you back out. It's a gestalt. The energy feeds on itself and it gets things going. And the more it builds, the more it builds. And it's not a perpetual motion machine, but it is a machine where energy comes in and work comes out. And because I've spent so much time doing what I do, I understand my reach. Very few people actually do. I know what right now I can reach this here. It's a silly demonstration, but I'll do it. Lid. I can reach it right here. That means if I'm here, I can't. I cannot reach the top. Here I can. Can't. Can. That is knowing your range, knowing your measure. Excuse me. It's a very simple demonstration, and it's kind of silly, but knowing where you are spatially is a mental, physical process. Your mind understands your body. And I'm going to tell you this, and I talk about it a lot, but a huge number of my students come to me. Many of them are female. Actually, the majority of them who bring me this are female, some men. But usually the men don't explain it until I've known them some time. I want to learn, but I can't. Oh, really? Why? I'm too clumsy. You're too clumsy. There are 3 root causes of so-called clumsiness. One is a physical imbalance in the inner ear or brain nervous system. This is checkable, findable, and identifiable by a doctor. They can give you physical therapy medications to help or at least acknowledge, and you work with it. Inattentive and not knowing your body. Those are the big 2. Inattentive. Every single person who's told me they're clumsy are also the types who get lost reading a book. Why? Because their mind isn't attached to their body. I've talked about this. Their mind is going into the book. But the body is then walking around on autopilot. And if your body and mind aren't talking to each other real well, you miss out on stuff. The other is born from that separation. If you stay separated, you lose track of where your reach is, what you can reach without moving. When you're walking, do you clear the wall or not? Now, because of my illness, I gained a lot of weight. I am fighting it. And it's funny, you have to be able to train with a mind separate for visualizing when you're visualizing, but when you're applying, you want your mind to be as connected as possible. It's interesting. But the going through gates. Now, my body changed. My point of balance. I'm not going to lie to you guys because I don't believe it. I hit over 400 pounds in the last year or so. I was very heavy. I am down to what was it? High 350s, low 360s, somewhere in there. And I'm falling. I'm on a new diet. I'm on meds. My blood sugars are getting more under control, and it's balancing. That's true. You know what? Silver men generally have slightly better spatial awareness. Oh, thank you, Steve. Uh, Men who lack that are often embarrassed and will conceal. Absolutely. Now, part of it is culturally built up because men are boys are encouraged toward physicality, and physical education is a thing. Okay, we think of gym and like, yeah, run. No, physical education done right builds strength, builds balance, builds awareness. I can catch a ball because I've trained my eye to recognize where the ball is, how fast it's coming, how it catch it, placement, speed, what I'm going to have to do to catch it. Combination of assessment and practiced response. That's just like fencing. But if you haven't been in that and you haven't found a way that that's enjoyable, you won't develop that skill set. Let me ask you this: if you never swim, do you expect yourself to be a good swimmer? No. That skill set isn't there, and your body doesn't have the memory. Uh, it it's the same for walking. It's the same. And for me, it's a mix of both. Steve says enjoyable as a survival skill, or as a survival skill. In my case, it was both. When I had to learn a lot of things to stay this side of the grass. Uh, and that's why I have, well, let's talk about this. You heard my voice start to crack. That's because there's an ingrained shame about talking about failures or limitations or points of weakness. Any man that I know anyway is heavily trained to avoid these. I went through periods where I was beaten in school. And I don't mean like, oh, you had bullies shove you. No, I mean held down and beaten. Uh, I learned to read people. I developed a form of PTSD, not combat, stress. It's different. It's a civilian form. It's real, but I am hyper vigilant on both my surroundings and on people's behaviors. I've studied micro expressions first innately. You want to know when somebody's going to hit you before they've decided to hit you. Exactly, never let them see you sweat. And because of that, not only did I learn to read people, but I learned to read crowds. It's psychology versus sociology, and understanding how the movement of crowds shifts behaviorally around threats or problems, or being able to recognize when a crowd is going from individuals to a crowd to a mob. I experienced this, and it really built an ingrained set of. At points, I knew how how to avoid people. Very like when they're aggressing. That's why I'm a better fighter in reverse than I am forward every time. Exactly. And I have seen it. I have been in the wrong place at the right time more times than I care, and I've learned to avoid it. CityCap says, due to visual issues, I did not see 3D until I was a teenager. Very, very weird to see 3D. Coordination, that exactly, you have to be able to perceive it. But you also know if you can't perceive it, you make adjustments. Lie to Me was great because Lie to Me messed with people who know me. People who I know who watched Lie to Me, and they watched Lightner with me. I had friends at points would turn and they'd look at me. And I'd say things like, I told you I wasn't psychic. But and usually I'm not. It gets weird because my pattern recognition can extend sometimes to traffic, where I can go, there's going to be a wreck with the way they're moving, and I can almost tell you who's going to do it where. It's scary. It's weird. I'm very good at it. I was tested for this as part of staying in college, and they found out my pattern recognition is a very strange and enhanced trait, but it's very tiring. To be that attentive takes a lot out of you. And sometimes you want, if you're noticing, I hate messy rooms. I am disorganized tremendously. I'm messy, but I hate them because I'll be in a room or in a crowd and the data coming in, there is so much data to process, it gives me a headache. It's like trying to listen to a song with a group of different choirs, each singing a different song at the same time. And yeah, and those of us who survived, I love my friends because I can spot, and I it's like when I'm walking around, one of the first things I spot are the other people who see it, and you can always spot them in a crowd. Cindy, I kind of covered it a little bit in a fictional form in my Small Arms book. I talk about the character Jack Darcy, who steps out and he's looking at this crowd because people are gathered for an event. I'm not going to get into it. And he's spotting the other gunners. It's like ping, 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 ping. The people who are on ping. You just, once you recognize them, you can't not. And yeah, Steve's laughing because there are like corners at my place. Oh gosh, there's so many people with varying degrees of trauma, and it's funny because like that's why all my windows are closed when my guests come over often, and you know the thing I want to make them as comfortable as possible, but yeah, we don't like having our backs to open anything. It makes for music. Like restaurants are fun because like the people I've learned to balance out the people who've only had civilian conflict and usually family style abuse can have their back to a window. The military or urban issues, duck shootings can't have a back to the window, but nobody can have their back to the open room. So it gets finding places when we're all together to eat is always entertaining. Yeah, that is part of why people would literally kind of unconsciously cuddle up and pile in the same setting. We're a very strange bunch of borderline lycanthropes, and it's fun when large numbers of us are together. But that's also a skill set, guys. Now I'm going to pause for a second because I actually blasted by my first hour. This has been a more conversational show, but I think you guys are enjoying it. I'm getting good feedback in the comments, so it works. The Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you, of course, by my 2 books on Amazon, as well as all my gaming books. It's not like one passion doesn't lead into another. The Simple Sword and the Fighting Axe. If you want to learn to sword fight, please look them up. If you haven't hit the like button, please do. I am a small channel, and the algorithm doesn't like me because I stray too close to Second Amendment discussion. I have literally considered that, Ogre. I have literally considered acquiring an octagonal room. I'm not even joking. There's a part of me that would live in a castle with a round room. You know, the round table that, you know, we're all equals. No. We're not all equals. We want to make sure that they're the round room with the round table is so that we can all watch each other's backs and nobody's back is to a window. There's 2 doors because I won't go anywhere with only one way in. And you're like, but Nick, you're in your study. Yeah, I'll go right out the window. I'm partial to gazebos. A gazebo? Roll for it. Okay, sorry. Running joke of fighting the gazebo. I actually had a player do that. And then they made fun of it, so I had the gazebo be a mimic and eat them. Only a little bit. But being able to set something like that tends to keep my people happy. And I know it sounds arrogant to say my people, but I don't really. We had a dire gazebo. It was great fun. But that being said, if you like what I'm doing, and I know I'm way all over the place tonight, but please consider subscribing. Please share this. If you really want to support becoming a Patreon member, it gets you backdoor into some of the works I'm writing. Yes, you do, Ogre. You definitely get. I'm giving you +3 against gazebos. So like if I ever run a game for you, the next character, or you show up on Red Valkyrie Presents, if a good guy ogre shows up, +3 against gazebos, my friend. Let's see what we got here. Yep. To the person who just messaged me concerned, don't worry about it. There aren't enough of us to worry about it, and there aren't enough. It just isn't that way. But yeah. But yeah, so please think. Now I want to talk a bit because, like I said, I like to be open, and I went to the wedding, and after many hours of driving, because the location had construction, and we ended up spending 45 minutes, 2 miles, trying to find an access point, because what happened is people were moving close signs. Bob the Builder breaks gazebos. But so we went, and my wife and I couldn't dance on the dance floor. We just physically couldn't, and that made commentary. And it was, for me, it was very embarrassing. No one else noticed it, but that's okay. And not because of her, because they have to adjust to the situation, and long car rides are kind of havoc on some of the leg injuries. But I want you to understand that it's okay, and it's okay to be upset. Give me just 1 second off camera. But by your limitations, because you're gonna be. It's not easy getting older, sure, and a lot of old people will wave that in your face like, oh. But really, it isn't, and that's okay. And you fight it, but you also accept that it's a reality. Whenever in the near future, next couple weeks, I can open up and try to have a guild practice, it will be both incredibly exciting and very intimidating for me, because it will be dealing with the reality of I can't do what I did last time folks were here. Yeah. Rishi says it's easy getting older. It's hard to stay pain-free and active as you get older. Rich, I'm going to tell you flat out, no, it's not. It is not easy getting older. And not for a lot of people in my circle. So, yeah. But I cannot be pain-free. I've not been pain-free. My whole life has been pretty much one form of pain or another. And I embrace it. I see pain. I do not see pain as a bad thing. I see pain as an educator and a companion. Because pain lets me know something's wrong. Pain lets me know I'm alive. At times, pain has let me know I'm real. I've been in some shady situations. I've been in places and times where sometimes the pain was the only thing that got me through it because I knew about it. And it's funny philosophically embracing that. Yeah, sitting there while others have fun is hard. It's not easy. But the reality is, for someone like me, I've always been separate. Even in social groups, even in religious settings, in educational settings, my place is always just a little bit out there. And it used to really bother me. I'll be honest, it used to really bother me. Like in high school, that we all there had the big friend group. And I realized not long out of it, and then later further, I was always in a place of separation. Like I was there, but I was a part of it. And it used to hurt. And sometimes it still does. But the trade off in that, there is a trade off. And I guess it's going to be another philosophical night, but that's okay. Is I have walked in very liminal places. My life has been liminal. And the term liminal basically means on the edge between two states. I was born and I lived where the mountains and the forests met the ocean. I moved to a place where the plains met the hills, met the Great Lakes. I literally live on the far edge of society, of a tiny little town where it meets the endless feeling fields, the ocean of grain and corn with patches of forested wildlife. But being present but apart, while always a kind of lonely, also gives a unique perspective to those willing to pay attention. It lets you see from angles others don't. And from that perspective, I've been able to help people that either most people wouldn't realize needed help, or maybe wouldn't have cared. I don't know. I have learned so much through pain and distance. I can't begrudge it if I'm fair and honest. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. It is not a comfortable or easy path to walk. And it has put me in some terrifying places with terrifying people. But, oh. Yeah. But it's worth it. Because I would rather have myself engage in discomfort and perspective and let it help. Oh, Ogre, JBP. I'm not familiar with the acronym. Ogre says sounds like that place JBP talks about, one foot in the yin and the other in the yang. I will tell you absolutely. My entire universe has been always between states. Sorry, Steve. I you know what? I'm going to be honest. I miss your home too. I would love to be up amid the birch trees and the cold waters and the really good lingonberry pancakes. Jordan B. Peterson. I've heard a lot about him lately from assorted things, because shockingly, I stride the line between, on some subjects, I am very conservative, and on some subjects, I'm very liberal. Again, liminal is my thing. Yes, we do, Steve. We definitely need another trip. I'm not gonna lie. Diet, diabetes, whatever be danged, I would cut somebody for some of that smoked goat cheese. But that was terrible. I just went straight from this very, metaphysical philosophical discussion, kind of Bob Rossian, to yeah, dude, I'll cut somebody for some goat cheese. But again, that's part of me too, and I think the mind needs it. Never be afraid to find humor in the absurd, folks. Uh, okay, I suppose it will. A lot less people, a lot more human. But yeah, we need to see and realize, because Richie says you can't be the person you are without the trauma, drama, and sunshine you've experienced. And I'm not. I am blessed that I have someone like Amanda in my life. I am. Some people it does, some people it doesn't. My wife is allergic to the protein, so she's a no go. But I will. Mm. Well, this time I won't have broken ribs from uh misbehaving children, so I should be able to swim. Although I'd prefer not to get pinched by another crawdad. Although that was cool enough, I don't really care. It was funny. Uh, on my finger, don't be pervy, folks. But yeah, uh, adventures are important, but perspective. Getting back to it, uh, I'm a forever DM. I'm a sword master. I'm the storyteller at the campfire, usually at least one of them. And at the end, sometimes even when things are coming together, I find myself drawn to the edge, and I just have to let myself do that because that's my natural environment. I am prone to misty places, long bridges, empty beaches, dusk and dawn, shadowed glens. I walk strange places, and it's beautiful and it can be horrible, and I've seen wonders of either spectrum. But it does, it brings us back around to swordplay because the best things in my life have been earned through one application of swordplay or another. It's really funny. But pina colada, I like pina coladas. Long walks in the rain. I'm not cheating on my wife. I don't need that refrain. But yeah. Oh, well, I'm keeping it to like a few seconds, so I should be okay. But yeah, absolutely. And that's okay. See, part of realizing, and this is an odd thing to talk about, but true. When I talk about your learning and your building and your training and you're getting into shape, because most of us are coming from a position where we've been carrying a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of fear, a lot of unease. You have to let that process out. It doesn't just turn off. You have to let that kind of bleed off. And that's going to be uncomfortable. And getting back into shape, if you are doing it right, will be uncomfortable. Paid? Maybe, maybe not. But there's discomfort in change, there's discomfort in growth. And you need to accept that that's part of the process. Because if it scares you, you'll never change, you'll never grow. You'll be that guy who pretends like he's still, in college, and he's listening to the same bands and dressing the same way and not changing his life at all and wondering why everything passes him by. So you accept that. But the only way is through perspective. Perspective takes experience, it takes time, and it takes attention. You have to have been through some stuff. You have to have been through a lot of it, and you had to pay attention to the stuff you've been going through. We live in a cancel culture, and one thing I saw going around was recently, and it really did bug me, and it applies, was we need to cancel a certain type of ageism. People keep going to old folks for answers. Now, there are some philosophies that are expired. We as humanity have gotten better than that, and we deserve to be better than that, and they need to be forlorn. But renouncing old people because they aren't hip to what's going on, so they can't know things, is foolhardy. And it's something that many people make. It's a long tradition, but when things go wrong, the old guy who's been through it all usually has an answer. It may not be the answer, or it might be the old gal. I use guy, dude, even bro. For both sexes. And sometimes I use cis. It gets confusing, but I'm not judging. It's just what comes out of my mouth. But you build. And using that, guys, you're going to build up. Exactly. Both Richie and Ogre are right. You need to look at all the points of view to see if it causes you to push your boundaries. Yeah, absolutely. And Ogre says, ignoring people who have survived the longest leads to short lives. Absolutely. They're not going to be right about everything. No one is. But they're going to have it experience and possible answers. And even if you don't like their answer to a problem, because I hate the phrase, well, that's how we've always done it. If you can ask why, asking the phrase why to we've always done it that way is one of the most earth-shatteringly important questions. And the answer needs to be paid attention to because there's wisdom there. Now, I will say this. I am a fat civilian. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Fat civilian. I am not a veteran. I am not a hero. I'm not a cop. I'm not a lot of things. But I will say the longevity of my life has been targeted over the years. And I am here and I'm functional and others aren't. You're down to fluffy. I'm trying. I just want to be functional. I hate to say the numbers don't. I want to be under 3. That would make me happy. I'd like to be under 300 pounds. If that's what my musculature and body will do. It should. It's just taking time. But I know I have to be, when you're, on the topic, when you're losing weight, you're only supposed to lose a couple pounds a week. That makes the process long. But if you rush and you get a big cutoff, it's going to bounce back. It took a long time to get here. It'll take a long time to get back. And I've built the strength for carrying this frame around. So don't assume just because somebody's overweight doesn't mean they're necessarily weak. Oh, that's how you get surprised in a lot of cases. But again, that's perspective, and I'd have to be old and paid attention to have that. But exactly. Longevity is a necessity for me in my situation. My son has special needs. My life is not my own. Hard stop. I was, like I said, I was at nearly 400 pounds. I'm around 350 something right now. And old doesn't mean weak either. I am having to make do with these hands, and I did not know until all this happened Well, I knew, but I didn't feel the depth of how much being useful was crucial to my sense of identity. Because I'll be honest, I am not pretty. My wife occasionally says nice things about me. That's nice. And, my mom has. But realistically, I am not a terribly attractive man. I accept that. I'm not tall, I'm not strong, I'm not rich, and I'm not influential. And I accepted all these things because that's not who I am. But I care, which isn't cool, but it's true. I care. I am not cool. Being cool means being aloof. It means being unaffected. I am affected. As unpopular as I genuinely give a damn, pardon my French. But I'm useful. And when my hand stopped working, when I've helped rebuild motorcycles out of piles of parts with my dad. I can barely turn a screwdriver. Supercation, wrenching, the hands won't do it. That is a special kind of hell. I'm not going to lie to you guys. And I admit, I am scared on a level to be tested when my old students get out here, my friends, and when it comes time to spar. It is scary for me. But it's also necessary because I have to know what I can and can't do safely. And then the good thing, the comfort is the knowledge, perspective, and assessment that I have, even when I end up in the wheelchair. And I don't say if, I say when, because I am fighting that, but I'm also preparing it. I have neuropathy in my arms and in my legs. That literally means the nerves are dying. Now, I'm watching the wetware, folks, and I am fully comfortable with if it came down to it becoming cybernetic. Rock and roll, man. Let Shadow run this. But until that becomes something that's affordable, approachable, or doable, I gotta. Don't you dare fall over. And yes, I did just yell at an inanimate object. I have to build up what I have and pay attention. But I can still look at somebody and go, you can beat them by hitting them there. I can find the weaknesses. I might not be able to do it. Tell you what, it is fun playing first-person shooters. My reflexes aren't quite as fast as they used to be. So I can tell you where the bad guy's going to be. They're going to show up right there. Can I get there in time to do something about it? But I can see it. And even if I die in the game, my brain's like, yeah, but your eye is still working, and that's all that matters. Because if my voice carries some small charisma, if my words have some value, then I am still doing some good. And not just, it would be easy to be a fount of platitudes. Steve says, no, but you can beat your own bullets there. Yeah, Tech hates me, and he's referring to me playing Call of Duty and the game glitching, me firing, getting up, running, and the bullet I fired hitting me in the back of the head. But, Ogre, if that fear motivates you, and I'm going to read your comment because it's public and I can see. I watched my father slowly lose to diabetes. I actually fear the place you're living in now. I know the shape of the battle. I know the shape of the battlefield right now. I've dramatically changed my life. I'm virtually vegan. Not quite, because egg whites are God's gift to dieting people. I love egg whites. You can spice them up and they are awesome. But I'm still fighting, but I know the shape of the field. I know what tools I have, and I can assess. So for me, I knew something was wrong, and the doctors couldn't find out what. They'd be like, "We think it's this." The test says no. We think it's this. The test says no. We think it's this. The test says no. And all the while, or you're just making it up. Before that, I had doctors look at me. You're making it up. From childhood, I have one leg shorter than the other. My ankles are actually bent. I was spiral fracturing my own femur with stress fractures running cross country, and I'd say my legs hurt. And they didn't believe me enough to check. So when I found out one leg shorter than the other, I'm like, ha, I'm not crazy. Malformed, but not crazy. And I could fight that. And at that point, they told me I was 6 months from being in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. 6 months, that was 15 years ago. Despite the weight gain. And while I am still fighting it, and I know, understanding your mortality, and I've nearly died enough times that, death and I are old friends. I've been there for others. I've seen pickups go right. I've seen them go wrong. I don't have the delusions of both immortality or being primed to the end. But dang it, I'm going to try to control that glide down and do the most good I can. Exactly, screwed. But and that's what we're about. Because, guys, when I'm fencing, when I started fencing, when I really got on this journey over 20 years ago, my opponent was never my opponent. Okay, the person I was fencing with, whether they won or lost, was not my enemy, never had been. I was fighting things in here. I was fighting to control who I am. That's why I didn't embrace the aggressive, fury styles. I carved control of myself first, and used that mentality to slowly build my surroundings. And I met my wife, and she had a set of dreams, and I had a set of dreams, and we have pretty much burned through the ones of hers that she can do. And mine are different, nebulous, and I'm working on those too. Oh, swipe left on death. Man, I'm catching. I don't know if you all can hear the pings going nuts, but wow. Yes, I Richie, I take supplements on that. Thank you for the advice. I actually take substantial supplements on that, and it helps. That's why I'm new braces. I'm always evolving. Keep it going. Exercises. You guys got to realize when I wrote the hybrids quick play, it was literally, hold on, it was this pen. I think it was the yellow one, but it was typed by grabbing the pens like this. I couldn't trust my thumbs, and literally on a flat keyboard, because it was before I got my ergonomic, just doink, 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 just stabbing out the letters because I lost fine motor control. Why? Because I believed in the project, and because I believe a man should keep his word. And if I take a contract to do something, I damn well can do everything in my power to do it. That's why after this video, I'm going to hang out with my wife for a bit, and when she goes to bed, I'm going to work on another contract I have because I'm trying to get it done. That's what I am. That's not just who. It's deeper than that. It's what. And that's part of why I write the books I do. That is a contract, okay? It's a contract that says if you read this, you can learn from it. Self-accountability isn't popular these days. it isn't well thought of, but you gotta. Whew. But I got a mission. I got a gig, and I try to. Part of it is trying to help people. Part of it's trying to make the world maybe a little better. Not necessarily brighter, because the bright can be a lie. There are a lot of people who will come out here. They'll come on YouTube or they'll teach a class or whatever, and they'll tell you everything you want to hear. Oh, okay. Okay. I get you, Steve. But yeah. Thank you, Ogre. That's a tremendous compliment. That's what it's about, guys. I know a lot of people come here expecting me to talk swords, and I usually do, and shenanigans and hilarity. I recommend products. I do recommend against products sometimes. I talk people up, but sorry. Sometimes when we're really conspiratorial, I like to lean in a bit, and I know it's not the right angle and it's not fancy, but I feel a connection. So, what else? Bit of homework time. What are you guys doing? Hit me in the comments. Message me on the guild. What are you doing to get better, and how do you want to? Okay. Surprising. Wait, no, those are the weapons of the Inquisition. I'm familiar with the Inquisition. I'm familiar with all sorts of crowds. You'd be amazed the individuals who have come knocking on my door or sniffing around because I've been working on projects. I swear only myself, Batman, and John Constantine expect the Spanish Inquisition. But seriously, guys. Now, I've got some stuff coming. I'll debut it, and I'll talk about what I'm doing. And if it works, awesome. If it doesn't, we'll talk about it. So next week's going to have some surprises. I will be much more on the ball next week. My salvation is not something I'm worried about. It's a gift I don't deserve, and it is a gift that was freely given, and if it were revoked, that's on the boss. I simply try to be better as I can in respect for that gift. You can't earn it. You can't, thank somebody for something like that. It's like when somebody saves your life, but you can do right by them to the best of your ability, and that's all I can do. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. There's a cross compensations. Have you inhaled sulfur and hellfire? You may be entitled for compensation. Anyway, oh Lord in heaven. But what are you doing to train, and what do you want to do? What would you guys like? A lot of you want to sword fight. That's a broad term. I'd love to know what styles you want to learn. Like Cindy Kep, who's a hero. She's been very quiet right now, probably working on something. But she decided she wanted to learn fan styles. And gosh darn it, is she? She's putting in the effort, and it is a gorgeous thing to watch. And I'm deucedly proud of her. Some of us. But that's another story, Richie. That is definitely another story. I've got a couple other scratches in places from consults back when I was active, but I am retired. Uh, uh, but the great thing is, as serious as it gets, and I get serious, you guys are trying to figure out what you want. Tell me. Tell me how I can help you, because this is a service channel. This is a service mission. I'm not the guy going in, I'm the best. I'm the best, so do not test pinnacle of perfection. No, I know some stuff. And if I don't know it, one, I'll tell you I don't know. 3 hardest words for a man to say. 2, I'll help you try to find an option. And yeah, I know the pinky comes up. That's the nerve damage, guys. I point like this a lot because the pinky and the forefinger get kind of, getting one finger to do anything given by itself is tricky. To answer the person who was asking about that particular gesture, I do a lot of the 2-finger points because my hand tries to point with the middle finger when I don't mean to. And yeah, many of my fidgets are actual physical therapy exercises to keep your fingers limber. And with my new braces, which I must say are, while not as good for gross motor skill things, hey, check that out. That's not bad. I'm having a good day. I can eat with chopsticks again. I've been eating with chopsticks lately. How awesome is that? That's because I do things like this. And eating with chopsticks, that's physical therapy. It forces everything to work the way it should. Use it or lose it. So I'm going to use it till everything falls out. And hopefully then I can get my, Elon Musk brand, Bezos powered, whatever. One of the billionaires, Bill Gates, somebody. I'm hoping it's Linux, so it's not as hackable. I'm gonna get some upgrades, and then I'll be happy. Except tech hates me, so who knows? But guys, fantastic. Yeah, thank you. I assume she's talking to the yeah. See, the people who've been watching and paying attention to my little fidgets, I'm starting to get things back. Now, I probably couldn't do a proper lift to save myself. I'm a confirmed put pocket. I love hiding candy in my friends' pockets without them knowing it. But open source is very hackable. Of course it is, Steve. That was part of the joke. Oh, you get the cheap East German. Nice. No, I'll take that. Heck, I'll take a pneumatic system at this point. I'll steampunk it. I can rock that. Steampunk and I are old friends. But I'll joke semi aside for a moment. That's haven't messed with Steve in a while. Yeah, fidget spinners, right, Steve? Anyway, and for a while this was all I could do, so I did it. But evil grins and laughs, folks. Keep your mind limber. While you're getting in shape, keep your mind limber. We are in the period where it is very hot. This is sort of the second winter of Indiana, where the heat is so high it may not be safe to be out of doors, before dark. Oh, me and the doctor agree with that. Bananas are good. Always bring a banana to a party. Steve, I'm going to tell you, the Hello Karambit is, at this point, an actual relic. It is something I adore. And the sheer absurd reality of this little thing. There have been days where I'm dealing with everything that I'm dealing with, honest to gosh. And I deal with a lot more than I talk about here, which, Nick, but you're so open and frank. Yes, scale that. Anyway, that sometimes something as silly as the Hello Kitty Karambit is enough to get me that stupid grin for just a second to get me out of the funk. I had one of those funks earlier today for a set of reasons I'm not even sure I could go into. but it gets me going. So yeah, I wouldn't. It's just not a money thing. It's not a treasure thing. It's just it's humorous. But find things like that, guys. We're getting near to the 2 hour mark, and this has been a very rambling show. We shall see. Oh gosh. You know, Steve and I had a conversation where he's like, I am not Mephisto. And every so often he goes to great lengths to try to prove otherwise. And now I know that ping. I don't know if you can hear the ping through my thing, but I'm sure it's. I'm not sharing that. It came through private channels. It can stay there. But folks, I hope you've at least found tonight entertaining. It wasn't the most educational evening. We'll hit more next week. Expect more of the Insomniac weapon reviews. And seriously, somebody tell me if you like those or not. Because it's an odd format for me, but it seems to work really well. And this is, of course, the official shank of the Historical Fencing Guild. One of these days, I'll probably make a neck knife sheath for it because it's funny, but to shank, it's a verb. Maybe I'll make merch of something like this. Merch is in the works. I've just held off looking for an outside source, largely because I might have an inside source, and I am a patient and clever little hobbit. But, or gnome, or satyr, or whatever alleged cryptid you might think I am this week. Yeah, merch. Hey, you know what? There's no due date on those. I just want you to enjoy it. I chat. I bring things up. I hit it and quit it. It's wow. That tapped old linguistics I don't normally throw out in public. But yeah, good things are coming, guys. And I will keep trying to put more. And I tried to do different content. As soon as I can, we're dealing with some car issues right now. Get some materials. I hope to upgrade the list field out back, rebuild it. It is down. So that by the time in a couple weeks, I can say, guildies, if you want to come out, we'll have a guild day. And there will be lots of cameras. Guys, get over it. I don't charge the guild, the live action guild, anything. Largely because most of them at one point or another have gone through some pretty rough things. Although, if you care to support, that's what the Patreon is for, folks. And even $1 a month will help me keep the lights on, because I'm going to pan right into the plugs. Also, while I don't have my lovely high grade graphic for the Rising Tide broadcast network, because there was a disaster and it broke and Lydia took some damage. Oh, getting better. It wasn't bad. It was just everything was shut down, so we couldn't get it fixed. We'll talk, but the Rising Tide is just an amazing. Thank you to the comment I just received. But the Rising Tide is an amazing group of people, and the Rising Tide Broadcast Network is growing so fast I can barely keep track of it. There's some amazing shows on a virtual just there the number of incredible topics, educational and entertainment, comics and writing and cryptids and metaphysics and sword fighting and game design and a few other things, all that are being provided by them. And it's all spearheaded by a man by the name of Brian K. Morris, who not only is a dear friend and an inspiration and one of my Patreon members, but is probably one of the most influential, life-changing people I've met outside of my wife. a whole lot of good has come from him. And a cryptid sword fighting. Yeah, cryptid sword fighting. That, in all honesty, Steve, if we were to assess the individuals who come to an average guild practice, if you're ever to hang a hagstone in front of that camera, we're a far more colorful lot than anyone wants to admit. The funny thing is, I'm the lowly human. Like, seriously, folks, I'm the normal one. Like, I'm not even hobbitized. I'm just the plain fat little mortal walking around knowing a whole bunch of stuff I'm not supposed to. It's the hey grip chupacabra thingy. Not uh-huh. Yet, please don't lose an eye, Steve. Uh-huh. Yeah, well, you are quite a techno mage. And let's put it this way. Trelena. You, sir, are supernatural by marriage. You married into the spookdom. Congratulations. Have something caffeinated. Try to roll better and don't touch my dice. But with that, we are well past the 2-hour mark. Okay, a minute or two. And I'm just prattling because I'm having fun, but hey, you know what, Ogre? That's what fiber is for, Oatmeal in the morning solves a lot of problems along that regularity setting. Normal is just a setting on the dryer. You curse us to set a dice one time and you never live it down. No, Joe. No. Just no. Listen. Okay. I have dealt with literal demonic oppressions easier to deal with than what happens to dice when you touch them. People think I'm being farcical. I am not. I have literally dealt with haunted supernatural situations that were easier to clean up than whatever you do to random number generators. Y'all think he's joking. Joe, don't you put that evil on me. Oh, if you can't take it, humorously, you're going to take it violently. Anyway, guys, it's been a great night. And, yep. If you want more of me being me, and you can handle that it is 18 and up, there's some swearing, and as it is a gothic horror campaign, I got to break out all the big guns and squick out the party. On Red Valkyrie Presents on Wednesday nights, 8:30 to midnight 30, so 12:30, I run midnight 30, a game called Dusk Falls over Ravencleft Gorge, which I can say some days. But it is a fun ongoing campaign. They're even making goofy merch shirts on some of the shtick. I hope you guys can stop by in one session. Otherwise, guys, thank you. Please hit me in the comments for anything I can do that be educational or entertaining for you guys, and I will see what I can do. Obviously, let's not be too vulgar on that subject. I know the group I'm talking to, but other than that, we're right on the cusp of the world opening up in the way of me having practices. Robots will stomp soon for those who understand what that means. Swords will cry out and things will be better. So, guys, get your gear. Check to see what fits. If it doesn't, we'll talk replacement options probably next week. I'm going to try to highlight armor options next week as the core discussion. I might not even be wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Yeah, right. I'll probably have a Hawaiian shirt under or something now. Broadcasting without a Hawaiian shirt is just unclean. Well, I can scope with my head wrap just to keep the Hawaiian-ness going as needed. But other than that, guys, keep your guard up. Be kind to yourself and each other. Study up. Drill with your body and your mind. And always support your local swordmaster.